right, I'm back today. Oops, better sit up a little bit. I'm slouching. Sorry about that. Let me do this and you can see me. All right. Next, what needs to be done here? Okay, what I've done is I've actually found the first writer's hidden formats in the Hebrew side of the text, and what you're seeing here is a result of the 3-verse format. This will be a statement, and then these two connect together as a sentence to describe the statement. And this is known as a psalm. And when they say they wrote in psalms, that means there's two of them as a group, and then I put a double space. I think it's in Jeremiah where a scribe read to the king a few columns, and that's what you can see how this writing is now looking. So what I am doing is I'm editing the text together. I'm actually putting like 24 books together as in order, so it reads from front to end, and it is probably the most complete story ever compiled. So if you're interested in actually understanding the text from the first writers who wrote these words, and then other people have been corrupting the text ever since. Let me give you an example here, because a lot of people don't know that there's actually 12 commandments, and that's because they don't study the text. If they had studied Exodus 20 verses 1 through 17, they would have this list like I have this list. Okay? Now, there's 12 commandments. If you change one word in Exodus, where is it? Here it is. In Exodus 26, verse 26, from bars to arches, we now have a hip roof on the tent for meeting with our Creator. So that's the kind of knowledge that's being revealed by me. As you can see, I've got comments above, I got comments below, and then my website below me here. That'll give you some extra information, and I got to update my website, and I'm going to do that right after I get done editing this text. But it might be still another month and a half before I do that. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in right now what I'm going to break into chapters, and I'm going to start a new chapter because there's a new subject matter, and I'm doing this because, or I'm adding many of them together. I might even have like 3 lines when I'm done of information as one chapter, and that's because I found out that Word in Microsoft only allows me to have, I think, like 100 chapters, and then you can make more, but the program doesn't grab them. So I have compiled it together this way, and what I'm doing is I'm just going to start editing, and I got to make sure that the text is working here. Add a comment, and I will answer you. Okay. I have the comments right here so I can see them. They're a little bit different. Like this, over off to the side here, but this I've got it larger so I can see it, and it draws the attention here quicker. Okay, so what I'm going to do is for the next couple hours just sit here and be editing the text and see how far I go or get today. I think I'm going to start doing this twice a day now that I've got things organized and changed up a few things in my life and my outside duties. So Joseph was sent to Egypt. He started a captain. It seems like this guy that he was hired by was somebody of authority, because he is being put into what's known as the king's jailhouse, not the regular jailhouse or prison, but special those for just the king. So I don't know how that doesn't explain it, but you can't explain it that this is a regular prison, because example, the cup taster, that's the one who tastes whatever the king is going to drink to make sure it's not poisoned, and then his trusted baker. So it doesn't really, they don't really have a food taster, but these two are king's subjects, close subjects, and they're in this prison. So it's kind of, like I said, not a normal prison. The cup taster should have been and. Oh yeah, no, it's the cup taster or the baker. For the king, it should have been for Egypt. This is what I do when I change a word. The upright words are words that can be found in the text, and then what I've done is I've corrected them. I'll do it like this, because like an of to a for, or like the word king to a ruler or ruler to a king. So that's, I wouldn't do that, but if you can see I'm adding a word. See, this was the original word, the was there, but I had to put the word or, because when you know the story, the word or needs to be put here. And these, I should mention real quick that, let me put the mouse in my other hand here. And what happens here is I'm using two major words in a verse and then connecting them with the least amount of words to make these verses. So that's how these verses were found, and that's true in a 4-verse format as well. So if you want just to scroll through the video, if you catch this afterwards, that would be okay, because a lot of times I'll just be reading and text has become pretty clean, but there'll be spots that need major work on, and then I'll correct that. Hopefully this is the book's getting built more and more. I'll be rereading it again, but this will be probably the last time. It'll probably take me at least another 3 weeks, and then I got to make the maps for it. Example, if I made a map here of how he was taken from, Joseph was taken, and then this is the path I believe that he took to get to. This map is very old. They've called the city of Cairo 3 different names in the Bible text. I think they start with or. I can't think of what maybe it's just 2 of them, and then Memphis. And what I've done is, for today's people to understand where this is at and the importance of this, I'm just gonna edit this text and say Cairo. Now this red path is the best I can come up with, I tried to walk the land and say if I got water from here, I need more fresh water so I can come across anywhere across here. But here, I think it would be cooler weather from the breeze from the sea to not be so hot and arid in the Sierra Desert or in the desert of the Sinai. So I would say this would be the more likely traveled route. And that's how I kind of just guess at these ancient roads. Now this road here, this is known as the highway. So when you're reading the Bible text and it says the highway, it means the major road going through the promised land. Because of the way the rivers are, they couldn't go along the side. There's rivers on both sides. As you can see, I guess I need to blow it up a little, but you can see how this river is here, this river is here, this river is here, and this river is here. So you can see that there has to be this path. And like I said, if they would walk on the flatter land and not go up over the hills and then seek where the water was fresh so they could resupply. From time to time, all travelers did different things. They could go probably 40 miles a day easily. So I have a map to, no, I made the map from this company here. They give you the layout of the geographical, and then you have to add everything else to your map. Okay, now that you're caught up, I will be probably silent because I found my voice gives out if I speak every word. So offended their king, and the king was mad. I'm going to add the word his jail because it seems to be, like I said, a special jail. So yeah, okay, I got it here, but I didn't have it here. But I don't need to introduce it twice. So put them in jail, and the captain of his jail, in the jail where Joseph was imprisoned. See, it doesn't explain how, it would be like Joseph was sold to somebody who had to work in the government or close enough to Pharaoh to have him put here. So there's a lot of text that you have to figure out when you're reading just a statement like this to make sense of what was happening at that time. They didn't put in all the details. It's pretty much like a summary. Sometimes, like right now, I'm trying to explain his jail, and you can see I have to go outside the text and use different words from different places in the text to actually prove why I'm making it the word his jail is being placed, or the word his is very important here. Otherwise than that, I would get rid of such a small word. Let's see here. Let me do something real quick here. Okay. And the captain put Joseph in charge of them. Now, this is what's unique when you now look at this. Now, this was text that I did not have to edit any words in. That's very rare. And it was just surprising when I read it that it is all like the original Hebrew text that you would read inside the Bible. But this is, it's just kind of, I just thought I'd mention it. The cup taster and the baker both had a dream. Now they would be calling it a dream, but it's a vision. That's why it's being highlighted this way. In the same night, in both dreams, in both dreams, and both dreamed, in both dreams, they needed them. Okay, that's what's going on. In both dreams, they needed them to be explained what they were about. And this is where Joseph is telling them they're actually visions. So yeah, it has to be. I didn't get rid of this word. In the top basket were all sorts, but the birds were eating them. Joseph said, "This means the 3 baskets. There are 3 days, and 3 days our king will hang him." This happened on the third day. He forgave his cup taster, and he hanged the baker, just as Joseph told both of them. Yet the cup taster did not remember him. Okay. This is part of this story here. And I put it there because otherwise, if I put it in the middle, it doesn't explain anything. So this needs to be placed right here. And I now can get rid of this. Make sure there's 2 spaces there and 1 there. Well, I guess I can move this. here. Came out sickly from thinness. This has to mean that the thinness is causing him to be sickly. 7 bulls came up sickly from thinness. It's they stood by the other. Guess that's the only way I can make sense, or hopefully the story will be read and understood. I got too many words in this next verse, and I'm seeing that I can get rid of king here by saying best diviners to him. And he told them his dreams, but no one could explain them. Could I just put interpreted, but nobody one interpreted them. I keep that this way. I'm trying to make it easy enough for 12-year-olds to read, so this would be left. It'd be that way for them. I had to check them here, and big trucks go by. That's usually, I forgot to set garbage out. Okay. This is why I use the word sickly. And I use it's thin. So sickly and thin. Sickly and thin. I use the word fat twice here, so okay. going to need an image here too. People don't, I want them to know what a signet ring is. And if you don't know, a signet ring is a ring that has a carving or a symbol on it. And you say, like on a letter or something that you want sealed and know whether somebody's looked at it. Say it's just folded and then crease it, and then on this line where it's at, they'd drop wax, and then he'd put his seal on it. So they did that at David's when he went into the lion's den. So maybe I've already got that. I'll know that when I make it. So, but maybe it wouldn't nice help if it's here as well. No, I gotta recheck this number if it makes sense. Or even if he was 20 years old, that would be good. $30 would be good. It's just a little bit longer time than I think that, but I guess it's reading okay, or I'm convinced that I don't need to do it, but I will. These are reminders. I've got a few of them set up, so. I think I need those words. So this is going to start making him in his 40s. Nope, that's got to be changed to 20s because his dad has got to come down. That would make his dad, make Jacob in the 70s when he's coming down. This has got to be 20. So now I'm thinking that I don't need this. And this is now the correct answer. And this is because you can see that if he's 20 and then there's 27 years, and in these years, it's probably going to be like the fourth year that his brothers come down in. So that's going to make him 30. And you got to remember, he's the youngest. But that's still going to make his dad Israel, Jacob / Israel, awfully old when he comes down. But that's a better number. So his dad's like not like 80, traveling all those things down here, but he could be in his late 60s. Let's see if I remember the story right. Jacob had to be sent when he was probably 13, 14 years old to Shem's, and he worked 20 years. So he's So he's 30 years when he returns, and he has 12 sons. That'd make Joseph. He wouldn't have traveled unless he was at least 1 year old. So if I've got him 35, that'd be 30. That makes him 65, 67, 68 when he comes to Egypt. So yeah, that would be better than having him in his 70s. Famine wouldn't happen right off the bat. Famine would happen in at least the second year. And there was a famine. So this would have to be the third year. That word is not there. I was thinking maybe I took the F off it. This needs to be actually noted when he's starting to talk to him. I think I'm making him 7 point. I've got to take a look at all that. Or do I change this word here? Yeah, I think this needs to be here. And this journey going back and forth is 330 miles. They could stop and get water here. And then here. That's a lot of miles without any water. I'm just trying to make sense of, they're going to give them, they can't be giving them their own food. It's got to be, it's open or feed sack to feed the animals. That's what's got to be. Can't be their grain. How does that read this way? So they had something to carry their water. They had to have feed sacks, and then there's, so if they both had 2 donkeys each, and they rode on one, so they had like 3 donkeys. That way they could travel faster. They could be doing 35 miles a day easily. And the water and the feed would be on one donkey. Their grain would be on the second donkey. They'd be riding on the third donkey. Okay. Okay. I think I should remove these at, at this time, but I'm going to wait until after I get all this, make sure each one has a whoops, that isn't what I want to do. And so if it was in the third year, they probably had enough grains. They knew how to eat sparingly. Their families are large, but theirs can be carried a lot on a donkey. They had to share it with Judah's. So it was third year they're there. They made it through the fourth. They would be coming back in the fifth. Although they had stuff for Judah. So wait a sec. They would have returned. That would have given them 3 more donkeys. So when I had over here, this is what I got wrong. That doesn't need to be here. He's going to go back and pick them up and pick up more grains. Yeah, that would make him old. He is older. Would make it that he is in his 60s, 65s. Um, it's one of the rare times that I'm using three major words in a verse, but it has to be. I like it this way. I was thinking if I could reorder it or re-say it in different ways. This could start a new one. Because this is the subject of his father coming. So I could break it as that in my head. See, this has got to be more than 2 years. This has got to be in your land. Oh, this is 2 more years left. So, yes, if I was saying it was 5, that when they return, no, it needs to be for 5. And there are still 2 years of no harvesting. See, I changed it to Cairo here. Years. Oh, this is the end of the show. I think I'm going to make not this one. But yeah, I'm going to make when is they got to return. I'm going to put it here. What is my religion? I don't have a religion. Sorry, I just noticed your. Sorry, I just noticed your point, your comment here. What is your religion? You're asking me. Okay. I don't have a religion. I tell people that our Creator made me see Him 8 times. You're on Twitch. You'd have to find me on YouTube under my name. You'd have to find me. Yeah, let me put my name here. I didn't do that. You search for my YouTube channel, and there I have a description in the videos, and one of them will be proof of afterlife, and it'll tell you the repeatable path, how males can go into the abyss, or what is known to people today as a REM state, and you're going to remember everything, or they will remember everything. It'll probably take a couple women together for women to be able to do this, but then you can talk to the dead, visit another dimension of time and space, And if you think you're righteous enough and don't worry about death, and you have really been obedient to our Creator, I tell you how to challenge these so-called gods, but they're just people who have already died on earth. And the abyss is where our Creator told Cain that Abel is talking to him from the ground, below the ground, but that's known as another dimension of time and space. The Hebrew text will call it Sheol. I think the Greek will call it abyss. I like the word abyss, so I call it the abyss. But down there, if you battle them enough, then because, like I'm saying, our Creator made me see him. It's the knowledge that he gives me to say that the text is corrupt, and I'm sent here to actually, if you read the text of Jesus's helper, you'll find that I am Jesus' helper, who is to be sent to actually correct the text and tell you everybody the true story of Jesus. I would have to, let me go get that text and put it up here. And then you can take a screenshot of that. This is what the text looks like when it's cleaned up. Everything in the brown text is about me, and then the others are Jesus explaining. This side is one story, talks about the helper, and this is a second story that he talks about the helper. And there is things here that says that I will speak and reveal to them what came from me, meaning what he's said about his kingdom. But I have to, let's see who it has. I had to be a witnessing of Jesus from our Creator. And in that text, or that video that I pointed you to, I explained how our Creator made me see him. Our Creator appears as like a, now I don't like saying this because I'm not really sure, but it's the only way I can talk about our Creator without really demeaning him. Like a circle of brilliant pure light, and it could be a sphere, but his arm came out from the light, and I ended up in his hand. And when I was like 7 years old, and then many other times in my life, he's made me see him. But like right now, if you watch television, you'll see the letter X running in all your TV ads right now. And that's because the people that were editing the text, they don't believe we have a Creator. They have a practice of sitting and meditating to have this what I call a sex-like experience with the female goddess, or a fake female goddess. And they believe that you had to have this practice with her to become a god. And they thought they were sending, because this is like 3,000 years ago, they thought they would end up in the heaven to become a star, what we would call a star. That's why you'll see that when you hear of or read the word Yahweh of hosts or Lord of hosts, it means the hosts in the second heaven. But here is this meditation practice mentioned in Malachi 2:11, where Judah is a nation, and they have married the daughter of a foreign god, which means here it's a goddess, and the foreign god is Ra, the sun god. She's the moon goddess. So when I show you ancient pictures of the moon goddess, this is Athena with the moon. This is actually from the Bible from 1850s or 1880s. They have this picture of Mary wearing a moon. They're making Mary the goddess. This is Ra, the sun god, with the moon goddess. It's on this moon day, on all Islamic flags, you'll see this moon day, and on that left-handed crescent moon day is when they have this, they sit in darkness and meditate to have this sexual experience. And then a bubble goes around their body, and they believe this was their salvation to become a god in heaven. And they have the belief that you would be reincarnated over and over until you achieved the same knowledge that they did. So I know that's a lot to be said right off the bat, but this is on the Vatican wall. Well, once this year and this coming month, this day that I'm pointing to, on that crescent moon day, a male's maleness will retract inside his body. So this is what you see here. This is on the Vatican's wall. And a female, her rosebud becomes an inch and a half long, flat like a sword, thin and like a sword. And what these guys are discussing is this practice to have this higher knowledge. Now the Egyptians, they didn't use horses, they used animals. And you notice he's leading them across the river Styx to become a god, so they don't have to be reborn all the time. But this is them achieving this practice, and all this is their symbols of this practice. But this is what the crescent moon looks like on that day. And this is the star Venus that appears in the sky as well. So there's a lot to... Well, actually, it's not a delusion. Let me show you something here. Why do you read the Bible? Because here, they're going to tell you down here what your reward for studying the Bible is. And your study is, lastly, the end and reward for the study thereof, the fellowships of a saint and a participation of a heavenly nature. Not to go to heaven. The text was written for you just have this experience with the heavenly nature and a fellowship with the saints. Also, they wrote here, this is the 1611 preface to King James. Here they're calling the great clerk Gregory the Divine, and notice they're using the capital letter D for divine, so they know Jesus isn't divine. If you study the Roman Catholic Church text, or what they call the Church Fathers' doctrines, I had just put out a video here about this bishop and how he defines that they first taught Jesus as a mythos or a myth, and not that he was really true. And all their doctrines are what they say that these words mean, and then the church teaches the people this is what it means. That's because they're saying there is no Trinity. And yet Jesus, if I show you Jesus teaching what is Trinity, here Jesus is saying that it is not you who speaks, but the Holy Spirit. And then in this verse, it said, the Spirit of your Father who speaks. These two verses say that Zacharias was filled with the Holy Spirit and he prophesied. To prophesy means that they had to be words from our Creator. So it means that Zacharias was filled with his words, and our Creator's words came out his mouth and prophesied about John. Here's the second verse where Elizabeth is filled with the Holy Spirit, but they have the word said. I changed it to prophecy, and she talks about who Jesus is in her womb. That she's not a fruit in her womb. It's your son in your womb. And how could she know that when she just walked into the room? Then Jesus teaches us two more other times here that the Spirit will teach you what you say that very word, what you ought to say. In other words, replying to those about the remembrance of Jesus and what he said, and the words will come to them while they're speaking by our Creator putting the thoughts in your head. There's several prophets that we have that knowledge that's our Creator will say, okay, well, now say this to them after they're out there prophesying. And then they start arguing. And the other guy who says, well, this is what our Creator's not going to send us into exile. And then I think it was Isaiah that says, well, I hope that's what's true. And as Isaiah turns around and starts walking, then he's told by our Creator in his head to go back and tell him he's going to now die. And there's a few other examples as well. What you're seeing here, what I've got, is a hidden format by the first writer's words. Example, this here is a statement, and this becomes a sentence. So you can see that this is a 3-verse format. And here there's another 3-verse format that repeats the same like deal. Now there's different writers that write it differently, but that's the main gist of what a 3-verse format is. This I would call a small paragraph today, but they would call it a psalm, and they wrote in psalms. In the story of Jeremiah, when the king is told about the prophecies Jeremiah told him, he's going to say he read from 3 or 4 columns. So that's what was going on there. And now you see these columns that are written here. I have 244 pages, and these are 22-inch pages. So it's not a delusion, but if you have any other questions, you can hear that I'm not stupid and I'm using text from the Bible. But as you can see, I've got another question here from Kick. Hey homie, you stream so really well. I do see you streaming a lot, but yet still have not affiliated or partnered and proposed you to share community to. I would rather I don't need to fake people to do this. In fact, I'm pretty much recording it for history right now. I'm starting to do a lot of reaction videos, and this text that you see here, I will end up making maps to go along, and let's see, I have notes like this off the side. I'm going to put maps, images, timelines of the kings, when there's a statute, when there's a law, and then these will be coded to go back and forth between these. So this book that I'm making, once I get it ready, which should be probably about 2 months, I'm going to put it up on eBay for sale, as I need the money to first build the publishing company to build the book, but the first book that comes off, I want quite a bit for it. So, because actually the text, let me see here. Let me bring up this. See, when I combined, where is it? Oh, it's over here. It showed up over here. When I did Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I combined the best of every verse that was truthful. For example, I use the letters Y and V instead of YHVH. YV's light, and his light came to us. But what would happen is if I come down, where is it? Oh, yeah, I guess I got to get way down here. But you can see that I have the verse where this verse came from, and then it follows up maybe from the same book. But as you can see, I skipped to Mark, then I had to go back to John, then I went to Luke, then I went to Luke, then I went to Matthew. And when you read this story, it actually reads as one story. And I have the story of Jesus in order, and actually the picking up of the 12 disciples. And I actually have text reveals itself. I don't force the words to mean what I want them to mean, but there's 7 days of Jesus in Jerusalem. But let me give you an example on the disciples here real quick, because a lot of people don't study the Bible. So let me get this in my other hand here. Because there's 3 lists of disciples. How come I can't find that right now? That's all because it's under a different group right here. See, if you study the text, you'll find Matthew, Mark, and Luke both have the descriptions of 12 disciples, but actually it reads like they didn't know each other, because there are 3 different lists, and I made it here to show you the differences, and there would be actually 15 disciples if we even combined all them. And if you search like a Google search for 12 disciples, it doesn't match any one of these lists either. So that's the corruption in the text, like that. But I've been doing this for more than 30 years. Example, this Bible program that I have that no longer exists. If I click on the word which, here it is in Hebrew, and down here, this program tells me how many times they use the word which, but how they use it for storehouse, reason, steward, anyone, deadly, powder. So here I can show you an example. The word so has a Hebrew word, and yet they used it 7 times this way. Now, that might not sound that bad, but what happens is all these words, how do you explain all these different words being used for one word? See, this is the corruption that this program no longer exists. I had to send the New American Standard registered legal letter to say what I did. I copied every word from their text in order, in a different style, which made it legal for me to do. And when they came and seen me doing this Bible program was pulled off the market, or it was stripped out and they didn't allow them to license it the next time. But that happened back in 1995. But this is what I did with Jesus's those books there, combined them, all of these verses, the best of, to get to the story. And like you've seen up here, when you start reading this, this just is a very quick summary of actually what happened to Jesus. And if you know these stories, you would see that, okay, yes, he talked to Martha, returns, and Jesus, Lazarus was raised from the dead. Okay, now here's what's going on right now with the shroud. They seem to think that the shroud is an image of Jesus. Yet when you read the story of Lazarus, they stuck him on a tomb, which is a slab cut out of a hillside, and they make this cave and they put these slabs in there. And what they do is they wrap the body completely, each arm, each leg, and the head and the body, and then they put it on a tomb, and then they put aloes and myrrh around so the bugs don't get to the body. Now, the only way you can actually prove how that's true is you have to go back to the Black Plague days in Europe, 1600s, I believe, maybe 1800s, somewhere in between there. They were dying in masses, and they were building these graves and putting people in the body. Well, they had grave robbers come by and dig up the body and strip the body of all the jewelry and stuff so they could make a living. But when they were putting the graves back together, they noticed the top lid on the inside of the coffin had human markings, like they were scraping, that they were burying people alive. So what they did then was put a rope on their finger to a bell and put on a third shift grave watcher. And then when he heard somebody making the bell ring, they come and dug up the body. But they knew this long time ago. That's why they would leave the body on wrapped up like this for 3 days before then they would put the body in the grave. So there's a lot of knowledge that's in the text that proves that the Shroud of Turin is just false. They wouldn't have wrapped him that way. So I know they're starting to also point about a lot of books being found, or writings found, and the only way I can explain that is the Vatican has a library that has history of their writing of history going back to, I think it's like within 100 years of after Jesus died. So they have texts or books from back then that they can wash clean and use the paperwork and make it dirty and then have somebody say, I just discovered this. Before, when the internet was just starting, the Vatican actually had IBM come in and they worked on making copies of all their library. And probably today they have it on like this Bible program where I click on a word and I go search it. I think it's like a Excel spreadsheet. But there's a lot to learn about what they're doing today to deceive you. But if there's any other questions, go ahead and ask. I know I might have went a little bit overboard, but I like to go into detail. Now you are ordered to take wagons to the kingdom. Okay, yes, I was down here. And I was going to combine this. Now should be here. Yeah, this is where, okay, that's where this should go. Got that one. Need this one. I'm not sure if there's going to be any more. I think that's going to be the end of that story here. Okay. Let me make sure I read this story again. 2 years now, you are ordered to take wagons from the kingdom of Egypt. Get this in other hand. For your children and wives, and bring my father, and have no concern for yourself. They turned to their father and told Joseph is still alive. He is the Lord over all their produce. But he did not believe them. They told him all the words Joseph spake to them. As he looked at the wagons, Joseph sent a comma, to bring them to Egypt. Israel was happy, and then Israel said, "It is enough. Joseph is alive, and I will go and see him before I die." Okay, I got to take a quick bathroom break, and I'll be back. Whoops. Okay. Okay, I just put that up there. I had to quickly remember what I was doing. Mm. The songs why we spake. Now this is a prophecy, and because this is from Israel to Israel, I've got to go back and find this. So this has got to be like this. This one's the major one. So when you click on it, it'll take you back up to this conversation. Okay. Sometimes these look like they're double spaced to me. So then Israel went with his sons and with their children and wives. It's actually his shoulder. Israel said to Joseph, now I can die, since I have seen you face to face, to know you are alive, and was provided for his brothers and everyone in their families. Freely lived by the rivers. This needs to be a map. And they became a multitude when the time when the time for Israel to die, he summoned Joseph and told him, please do not bury me in the land for Egypt, but with my forefathers in the cave. So carry my bones out to our land in our cave. So this is the cave that I don't know, should I make a reference to that? I'm going to put numbers over here every once in a while to say the number, turn to page whatever, or turn to this number in the book, and that way the readers can be guided by those speaking in the future. And this I can get rid of right now. Yes, he died at 70. Okay. All those numbers now line up truthfully. Like they was becoming slaves, killed their sons. So it doesn't say what timeline here. But I should note that they would want to see a timeline to help them understand. So this has got to be like the third king after, which if they lived to be 70 years, could be how long did that other king live? Let's say he lived 15 years, 85. 85, add another 70, 150 years later. Yeah, that would be I think if I just leave a note like that, I said I was making these 7 point. I think that would be better than a timeline. Make it 130 because it's probably in 15 years, 85 years. If I make it 160, if I make it 170 years, it would probably be more accurate because it's got to be in the middle of like the third king. And this gives them plenty of time to multiply to become a multitude and become multiplied greatly, meaning their children weren't dying as much as or as quick and as often as the death rate that we know that happened back then. So, or we have an understanding that there is a higher death rate of having children. Nope, this is going to be another group, so I might as well start it here. This is why I put in he couldn't speak, or he spoke to Moses in Egyptian. Did I spell Egyptian right? For the language? I guess I'll have to check. This would be a good place to start another one. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to quit for right now because the 10 plagues are going to be something I want to make sure everything is fresh in my mind when I'm doing this, because I want to put the plague, what they are, beside each one of them. So, but other than that, I will be back. Have a great